I need you to drop whatever you're doing this very instant. Don't you dare scroll past this video. Don't even think about swiping to another app. Forget about your meetings. Switch your phone over to airplane mode right now. Kill the Wi-Fi on every other device in your house. Go lock your door. Pull your shades down. And I want you to crank the volume on your speakers all the way up until you can feel the bass vibrating through the floor. I demand your complete, total, unwavering, laser-like focus for the next couple of minutes. Because something that was supposed to be impossible didn't just happen. It just got a public, global, and official stamp of approval from the most revered, untouchable figure in the entire history of tennis. A seismic event just rocked the entire foundation of the Women's Tennis Association. It was a world-altering, extinction-level moment. And right now, the American sports media is desperately scrambling in a massive, unified effort to bury the story and protect their crumbling fantasy. Just yesterday, you and I were right here talking about the absolute cold-blooded psychological takedown of Coco Gauff on the huge stage at Indian Wells. We discussed how Alex Eala, the 20-year-old phenom and the shining star of the Philippines, walked out under those blinding stadium lights and proceeded to methodically and utterly shatter the spirit of America's reigning superstar. We uncovered the real reason behind Coco Gauff's pathetic fear-driven surrender. We had a good laugh at the pathetic medical excuses the American commentators were fumbling over on national television as Gauff quit the match blaming some made-up arm injury. We all knew the truth that Eala had utterly annihilated the establishment's billion-dollar poster child in a match that barely lasted 54 minutes before the American had no choice but to throw in the towel. But let me be perfectly brutally straight with you for a second. What went down on that court was just the start of the establishment's worst nightmare. The match itself was just the opening shot in a much larger war. What took place after the match represents a definitive, undeniable, and permanent shift in the global balance of tennis power. And it has executives in their corner offices sweating right through their $1,000 suits. You see, the story didn't just stop when Coco Gauff packed up her rackets, complained about some bizarre firework feeling in her arm, and sprinted out of the stadium in what can only be described as pure, unfiltered terror. The real story detonated, reaching a whole new, terrifyingly epic level just a few hours later. So what we're discussing today isn't about the final score. It's not some dry analysis of unforced errors. This is about the official, undisputed crowning of the new queen of the WTA. This is about the alert that just lit up the phones of every terrified tennis executive, every single panicked corporate sponsor, and every last veteran player cowering in that locker room. Rafael Nadal, the king of clay, the iconic 22-time Grand Slam winner, the ultimate untouchable living legend of tennis, greatness. The man whose name is synonymous with mental toughness, enduring physical pain, and the sheer relentless will to win on a tennis court. That Rafael Nadal just went around the entire mainstream sports media complex to deliver a direct, powerful, public, and absolutely game-changing message of respect and confirmation straight to Alex Eala. And I'm telling you right now, the tennis world's old guard is absolutely trembling in their expensive sponsor-covered sneakers. The backlash from Nadal's steadfast endorsement is so unbelievably poisonous, it's hitting the establishment so hard that they are in a state of total confusion. You really need to get the shady, ruthless, and intensely political underbelly of the professional tennis circuit to understand why this alliance with Rafael Nadal is like a bombshell going off in the WTA's private messages. When a new player emerges and scores a massive upset over a long-standing, top-ranked and heavily promoted American star like Coco Gauff, the usual locker room way of doing things. The unofficial code of the establishment is to just brush it off. They want to hide it, hoping the public forgets it ever happened. They write it off as a complete fluke. They'll leak to the press that the pro just had an off day or the wind was a factor, or they'll fall back on excuses like Gauff saying her entire arm felt like it was engulfed in flames. The established cliques then try to ice out the new player, giving them the silent treatment in the athlete's dining hall, refusing to be their practice partner and just waiting for the soul-crushing weight of the year-round tour to finally wear them down and force them right back to their designated spot at the very bottom of the pecking order. But Rafael Nadal just grabbed that whole, unwritten locker room strategy, tore it into a million little shreds, doused it in jet fuel, and lit a match for the entire planet to watch it burn. By publicly backing Eala's fierce and relentless climb, Nadal wasn't just offering congratulations. He didn't just give a polite little acknowledgement. He put a crown on her head. He threw the full, massive, and unavoidable influence of his legendary career, his prestigious academy, and his billion-dollar worldwide brand directly behind this 20-year-old Filipino prodigy. And we've witnessed this kind of legendary support before. Music. Whenever Ella goes on one of these history-making, game-changing winning streaks, the king of clay himself comes down from on high to publicly state, "We couldn't be prouder of you, Alex. An absolutely incredible tournament. Let's keep the dream going." And the veteran pros, the American sports media complex, and the corporate giants are absolutely livid. They are boiling over with rage. They are in a complete panic because it's dawning on them that they're no longer just competing against a fresh-faced rookie from the Philippines. They're competing against the personally chosen, hand-selected, and officially backed heir to the Nadal dynasty. Ella is a decorated top graduate of the Rafael Nadal Academy, and that fact alone rewrites the entire power structure of the sport. We're now getting some explosive and totally believable inside information from hitting partners, world-class swing coaches and sources near the Indian Wells Players Lounge confirming the atmosphere is completely venomous at this moment. The top-seeded players are looking down at their screens, seeing the clear-as-day link between Ella and Nadal, and are feeling a profound, gut-wrenching and unavoidable feeling that her takeover is just a matter of time. Just imagine the high-stakes, intense mental games being played here. The American sports media has worked for 5 years to sell the public on the idea that Coco Gauff is the one true successor to the throne. Music. They have funneled hundreds of millions of dollars into crafting that very specific pre-packaged story. In just one night on the court, Alex Eala completely dismantled Gauff's mental game, pushing her to the breaking point of retirement. And off the court, her connection to Nadal completely demolished the media's entire narrative. Can you even fathom the crippling state of panic inside Coco Gauff's camp right now? You've just experienced the single most public and humiliating mental collapse of your career. In front of a home crowd, you just walked off the court because you were too petrified to withstand the unrelenting assault from your opponent. You then sat in a press conference insisting you'd never experienced a pain in your arm quite like this, practically pleading with the media to swallow your excuse. You're sitting alone in a hotel room, desperate for anyone to legitimize your phony injury, desperate for someone to reassure you that you're still on top. But what's the reality unfolding outside? The single greatest gladiator the sport has ever known, Rafael Nadal, has been hitting with Eala in private training sessions, a clear sign he considers her a genuine peer. This is the ultimate mental knockout punch. It's a slap in the face to the American tennis establishment so profound, it shatters egos for good. But we need to dig much, much deeper into what this Nadal endorsement really means. Because Alex Eala isn't just some girl with a powerful forehand who happened to get noticed by Nadal. Eala was systematically, scientifically forged in the very same fire on the very same punishing red clay of Mallorca that produced one of the most tenacious champions in the history of mankind. She's the product of a system engineered to build absolute monsters on the tennis court. Let me spell out for the entire WTA Tour just how terrifying that truly is. The Rafa Nadal Academy is not a summer camp. It's not some posh country club for sipping lemonade wearing white and casually tapping balls. It is a boot camp that manufactures tennis assassins. Music. They break you down mentally and physically until all that's left in your soul is a singular, obsessive, almost deranged drive to win every last point as if your life depended on it. When Eala was out on Stadium 1 suffocating Coco Gauff, forcing those soul-crushing double faults and standing like an unbreakable titanium wall on the baseline, that wasn't just her own strategy. She was deliberately channeling the exact same savage, never-say-die gladiatorial spirit that Rafael Nadal used to utterly crush his rival's spirits for over 2 decades. She was hammering heavy, punishing topspin. She refused to give up a single inch of ground. She was staring Coco Gauff dead in the eye, and without uttering a sound, she was telling her, "You are going to have to literally end me to win this match. And I can see in your terrified eyes, you don't have the guts to do it." Music. And the most chilling detail of this whole Indian Wells demolition was how Alex Eala handled herself afterward. As Coco Gauff was desperately trying to explain away her on-court panic as a firework in her arm, Eala put on a masterclass in psychological warfare disguised as pure elegance. On International Women's Day, Eala took the microphone and gave a victory speech that will be remembered for years to come. She gazed out at that massive American crowd. She gave her stunning, totally unfazed smile, and then had the nerve to thank Coco Gauff for being such a great leader and a class act both on the court and off. Music. Do you get how absolutely brilliant and ice-cold that one moment was? She just took apart the poster child of American tennis, made her quit mid-match in a total meltdown. And then she turns around and thanks her for being an inspiration. That is the single greatest power move, no question. What that tells everyone in the locker room is that Ella, Music, is totally unfazed by all the drama. It shows she's completely centered, poised under pressure, and frighteningly locked in on the endgame. Music. She's not just out there to win a few matches. She's playing to win over the entire world. And she's pulling it off perfectly. The old guard in that locker room. They are boiling over with a jealousy so thick you could slice through it with a chainsaw. You want to know why? Music, because you just can't buy that kind of real, genuine composure. And you sure as hell can't buy an endorsement from Rafael Nadal. Sure, you can win a Grand Slam. You can even land a huge multi-million-dollar TV contract. You can even get music, your own signature line from Nike or Adidas. But there is absolutely no way for any amount of money that you can buy the real, undeniable respect and praise from the King of Clay himself. These veteran players have spent the last 10 years grinding themselves into dust on the tour. They've put on a happy face for the cameras. They've suffered through all the brutal phony press tours. They have practically begged on their hands and knees just to get a nod from the legends of the sport. And what does Nadal do? He barely even looks their way. He keeps to himself. He doesn't get involved. But then Alex Eala comes along and just demolishes America's golden girl, making her tap out in disgrace. And suddenly the full weight of Nadal's legacy is standing right behind her, like some kind of invisible bulletproof shield. Music. This causes a complete catastrophic and irreversible collapse of the hierarchy inside the WTA. All the seasoned pros feel completely disrespected. Music. They feel like the whole system is just shoving them aside. They see the spotlight, the big primetime matches, the huge international sponsorships, and the TV ratings all being torn from their grasp and just handed to Ella on a silver platter. And it's all because she has that untouchable seal of approval from the Nadal Academy. Music. But let's be real for a second, because we don't do fake news here on this channel. It's not just jealousy coming out of that veteran locker room. It's pure, raw, primitive, paralyzing fear. Because Nadal's support isn't just a suggestion. It's a direct, undeniable warning shot fired at the rest of the WTA Tour. Music. It's basically his way of telling the entire locker room, she's one of mine. She's trained with my blood, sweat, and tears. She plays with my fight. She thinks with my strategy, and she is coming for every last one of you. All of your trophies are already hers. Now just picture this. You're one of the top 10 players in the world right now, and you're sitting there in the players' cafeteria. You just got done watching the horrifying replay of Ella mentally shattering Coco Gauff into a million tiny unfixable pieces. Music. You saw that ice in her veins composure. You saw those heavy, brutal ground strokes. Music. You saw her absolutely terrifying refusal to ever back down from a dogfight. And now it hits you with this terrifying certainty that when Eala walks back into the locker room, or when she gets on the phone with her team after a match, she's not just getting advice from some random overpriced tour music coach who's just paid to blow smoke and tell her what she wants to hear. She sees the sport's biggest mental titan, the man with the most powerful psychological grip in tennis history, as her own personal mentor. Her idol, her complete and total blueprint for success. She literally has the ultimate cheat code for tennis psychology downloaded straight into her mind by the master himself. How can you possibly game plan for an opponent who has the king in her corner? How do you strategize against a player who has the entire philosophy of Rafael Nadal pumping through her blood? You can't. It's impossible. You just find yourself in your hotel room staring at the tournament draw. You see her name beside yours, and you just start to freak out. You start wondering if you can fake an injury, kind of like Coco Gauff did, just to get out of the public. Beatdown, you know, is coming on international television. The Players' Union, the music, sports agencies, and the huge management companies are all having a quiet meltdown too. The executive suites in New York and London are in a state of total unprecedented chaos. They understand more than anyone that Alex Eala is on the verge of becoming an unstoppable worldwide commercial force. In the high-stakes game of sports marketing, when you bring up the Nadal legacy, billionaires stop and listen. The luxury music brands, the directors of massive tournaments, the global TV executives, they are all about to pivot immediately, forcefully, and without any shame right towards Eala, because she now carries the ultimate legendary seal of approval. The seasoned players are absolutely petrified that they're about to be made completely irrelevant overnight. They're petrified that they'll be banished to court 18 for a 10 a.m. match playing to empty stands and a couple of sleeping birds while Alex gets the primetime music. Night matches on Arthur Ashe Stadium, Wimbledon's Centre Court, and Court Philippe Chatrier in Paris. And we have to talk about the fan base, because this is the part the American media totally misjudged. They figured they could shield Coco Gauff because she had the rowdy American fans supporting her. But Alex doesn't just have the Nadal aura behind her. She has the entire nation of the Philippines backing her up. We are talking about a gigantic, intense, music, unbelievably loyal, and wildly patriotic sports nation of over 115 million people combined music, with the worldwide terrifyingly huge army known as Rafa Nation. That is a legion of fans that no other woman on the WTA Tour can even process, let alone go up against in a stadium or on social media. The veterans get it. From a media perspective, they've already been completely defeated in this music war. If they face Eala, the crowd will be rooting against them. The internet will be rooting against them. The announcers will be forced to make her the story. The whole narrative will center on the unstoppable 20-year-old phenom. And what about the payback angle? Let's dive into the dark catty side of the professional tour. The players in Coco Gauff's circle, the established music, clicks the mean girls of the WTA who have ruled the locker room dynamics for years. Rumor has it they're huddled in their private encrypted group chats at this very moment, scheming up a way to put Eala in her place. They're looking to send a message of their own. They're talking about how they're going to get physical with her on the court. At the net, they try to drill the ball right through her, just to get in her head. They offer up these icy, dismissive and disrespectful handshakes after the match is done. They use their press conferences to throw subtle jabs trying to downplay music, her incredible rise to the top, calling her all hype, and insisting she only gets wins because her rivals' games spontaneously combust. But they know deep in their terrified souls that they are completely music. Trapped. They are stuck in a permanent, inescapable checkmate, because when they attack Alex Eala, they aren't just going after some new 20-year-old rising star on the tour. They are directly attacking the legacy of Rafael Nadal. They are insulting his entire academy. They're risking the full wrath of tennis's most beloved figure coming down directly on their heads. They're risking alienating the entire global tennis community, every major sponsor, and every last fan, turning them all violently against them for good. Alex Eala is currently protected by an invisible bulletproof shield of titanium, one forged in the fires of Mallorca and sanctioned by the King of Clay himself. And the slow, dawning realization that they can't touch her without destroying their own careers is driving her rivals absolutely positively insane. So let's look at what this all really means for the rest of the tennis season. Music. Consider the Grand Slams coming up. Think about Roland Garros, the French Open, the undisputed kingdom of Rafael Nadal. When Alex Eala sets foot on that red clay in Paris, she is not going to be seen as just another player. She is going to be treated like pure divine royalty. The French crowd, who famously worships the very music ground Nadal walks on, will adopt her as their very own daughter. The pressure on anyone who has to face her there will be nothing short of suffocating. Music. Just imagine being matched up against Alex Eala in the opening round of the French Open. You're not just playing a simple tennis match against a girl with a strong forehand. Music. You are going up against destiny. You are battling the ghosts of 14 Roland Garros championships. You are literally competing against the spirit of the clay itself. Music. The paranoia in the locker room is going to spike to levels we have never before seen in the entire history of tennis. Players will be obsessively analyzing tournament brackets, praying to whatever higher power they have that they land on the opposite side from Eala. We're hearing whispers that some of the more established veterans might just miraculously come down with minor lingering injuries and withdraw from smaller tournaments completely just to avoid the utter career-ending humiliation of being dismantled by Eala on international TV. That's because right now playing against Eala is to risk having all of your weaknesses exposed for the whole world to see. Coco Gauff was the ultimate sacrificial lamb. The American golden child showed music. Everyone what happens when the standard overhyped power of the WTA Tour tries to break through the defensive wall forged by Nadal. Music. It leads to an embarrassing 54-minute meltdown. It leads to a complete total. Music. And devastating psychological breakdown that ends in a panicked forfeit. Music. In front of your own home crowd. And not a single veteran on this tour wants to be the next feature on a mental collapse highlight reel. They do not want to be the next player on this channel getting exposed music for their flaws. From this very second forward, every single time Alexa steps on the court, the entire sport of tennis is forever and completely changed. The world is just tilted on its axis. She's no longer the underdog hoping to catch a lucky break in the qualifiers. She's not the rising star just trying to get some experience under her belt anymore. She is the Terminator. She is the final boss. That brutal, dominating performance against Coco Gauff was the violent, undeniable proof. And that clear connection to Rafael Nadal's legacy, that's the terrifying official start of a brand new era of complete domination. The veteran players can cry about it in their private WhatsApp groups all they want. They can roll their eyes at her on the practice courts. They can act like they aren't scared when the cameras are on, and they're feeding those fake media-trained lines to the reporters. But when the umpire calls for the match to start, when that entire stadium goes deathly quiet, and when they have to stare across the net and see Alex Eala standing right there on the baseline, bouncing that ball, wiping the sweat off her face with that exact same terrifying, unbreakable, dead-eyed focus, they're going to see the spirit of Rafael Nadal staring right back into their very souls. They're going to see a competitor who doesn't give a damn about their ranking, who couldn't care less about their legacy, and who doesn't care about their millions of followers on Instagram. And they're going to see someone who is 100% psychotically prepared to stay on that court for 5 straight hours to tear down everything they've worked their whole lives to achieve. I need every single one of you to absolutely light up the comment section of this video right now. The Eala army has to mobilize like nothing the internet has ever seen. I need your voices to be so loud, so insistent, and so overwhelmingly powerful that the mainstream sports media, the terrified network executives, and the panicking players in the locker room can no longer deny the truth. I need you to share this video everywhere. Send it to every tennis fan you have ever known. What is your gut reaction to the sheer greatness of Alex Eala after she just dismantled the American establishment and basically forced Coco Gauff to surrender? Do you believe that the old guard is now utterly terrified to even mention her name because of the Nadal shield that's protecting her? Our music. How insanely loud is the Eala army going to be when she sets foot on the clay at Roland Garros to fulfill her destiny? Is there anyone, literally anyone left on this entire professional tour who has a prayer of stopping our girl now? Or is the rest of this season just going to be one massive, unstoppable victory tour? Drop your wildest celebrations, your deepest strategic breakdowns, your loudest cheers, and your most insane predictions for her championship run in the comments down below. The revolution isn't on its way. The revolution is here. The establishment is in ruins, and Alexandra Eala is leading the charge all the way to the summit. Let's go. Model.